All right, welcome everyone. This is David Richards with Heart of the Matter, and I'm here today with Sandra Fazio. And it's really exciting to be with her. I've gotten to know her recently, and she's done my human design reading, and she does coaching, and you're going to learn a lot of great things about Sandra.
Mm,
But I'd love to start by just hearing more about you, your journey, what kind of work you're doing, and just help us learn more about you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you
Absolutely.
for all that are tuning in. And thank you for the platform that you've created, David. It's so awesome. And it's an honor and privilege to be part of it. Um, so it's always kind of hard to condense close to 50 years of living in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I often say, read a book, go to the website. Um, Really, the long short of it, I guess, if there's such a thing, the elevator pitch would
Yeah.
be that motherhood started quite late for me, which is probably pretty average now, but I was close to 40.
Mm.
Came into parenting with quite the fantasy and the illusion and the dream and the agenda of the ideal child and the ideal
Mhm.
mothering and all of it. And it really was like a kickstart to what was all going to be divinely meant for my awakening. And I couldn't have
Mhm.
known this at the time, but obviously my soul had a divine plan already in line, because the child I got will always be the greatest awakener of my life on every given day and moment. And it really wasn't until I was close to a few years in, whatnot, we hit some real high bumps, and I share a lot of that in other podcasts that I've done. And I wrote a book recently, a poetry book, so I share a lot of that in my preface around what kind of that journey was like for me. But really, at the onset of motherhood, I just was really I was misaligned in certain
Yeah.
ways, because motherhood just kind of, it rocked me. And after we bumped into some things and we learned some things about some challenges around her development and
Mm.
whatnot, which we've come a long way around the bend. And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful to tell that story of it now. At the
Hmm.
time, it's really hard to see.
Yeah.
And but the reason I share that and how you and I even got connected is
Yeah.
because close to when she was 3 is when Shefali's work, Dr. Shefali from The Conscious Parent at the time,
Yeah.
found me as I was in the kitchen making minestrone soup. I will never forget the day. I say May 18th, 2014. And it really was a changing day of my life. And next to becoming a mother, of course.
Yeah.
So that kind of put me on the path and the trajectory of a deeper awakening, of really understanding the spirit before me, of really understanding what it meant to embody and accept and become more aware of detaching expectations. And I'm still in that flow every day.
Mm.
So the work is ever unfolding. I
Right.
never will say I've arrived, because so long as I'm here physically,
Yeah.
there's always work to be, endeavored.
Yeah.
Even in our imperfect perfectness, it's
Yes.
just part of the process.
Yes.
So that led me, really a good while. She's nine years old now. So, I mean, for those 6 years, God, it feels like a lot longer.
Right.
But in those 6 short years, when I really even think about how much has been brought into my fractal line of
Mhm.
awakening from just becoming a mother,
Yeah.
and I don't mean to say it very like just becoming a mother, but the onset of motherhood and really how it kind of just shattered me fully open.
Mm.
So that led into much of the work that I do around supporting others and guiding others,
Yeah.
ushering, coaching parents, individuals on their path. And so really just I almost feel like I'm a hodgepodge of everything.
Mhm.
That's just the way to describe my unfolding. Is I'm a spirit that's here to just embrace it all
Mhm.
and bring the truth, the heart, the soul, the transparency of the journey forward. um, I feel very blessed in ways where I hit so many melancholic moments, and I often
Mm.
would look at that as, maybe not an okay thing. And at the same time, my soul really recognized the gift in it. And
Mhm.
so writing became just something that channeled out of me. And so I discovered poetry, and poetry became my outlet, and it still is. So yeah, I would just say that I'm a myriad of a lot of things, always meeting the souls of others and looking to support them as I continue to awaken. So that's kind of the unfolding of my work at the present moment.
Yeah.
At the present moment. We'll talk in 10 years, David.
And I know your most recent poetry book is Permission to Feel, correct?
I have it here if I'm allowed to show it.
I can see it behind you, but yeah, show everybody.
Oh yes, it's back there. I forget I put that.
Show everybody.
God, I'm so good. I didn't even know I did that. So this is a little more up close and personal.
There we go.
Yeah.
Permission
So it's a compilation of close to 145 poems that really are storytelling and that have channeled through me in some of the darkest moments and in the most awakening moments, and a combination of all of life in between. And I've found that my voice talks in stories, and it loves to experience the flavors of life and then bring it in a very succinct storytelling fashion where people can align and be felt and feel seen and understood. And a lot of that is my own soul that was seeking all that, and still is in every moment. So.
And tell me about, so you said 6 years ago was when you found Dr. Shefali found you, or whatever.
Yeah. You know, our souls were up there whispering. They're like, go in for the dive. Yeah.
What has your daughter taught you through this process of awakening? It's a big question, I know.
Excellent big question. Okay, that's for like another interview.
You know, right?
That's for the second book. What has she not taught me? I think that's an easier question. She's taught me everything. So what she continues to teach me as I've watched myself delayer and you know, shed skin every day.
Yeah.
I really do watch one thing, knowing what I know around some of the work I'm doing even presently with with human design, is I can see even more introspectively the depths of her soul and essence beyond just what I know as a mom and what I feel as a frequency and whatnot in physical form. I can really attune in, and I see her often, David. She first of all, she doesn't cease to amaze me. She always shows up in what is really a big part of her spirit, which is like the sense of universal love. Yeah. That no matter what, rumblings, crumblings, grumblings, you name it, if there's like a big, you know, chaotic moment on any part, one way or the other, or just a sensory of life that she might attune to, she's a very grounding, present soul being that continues to bring me into that space of love with her. Yeah. She serves that reminder all the time that, Mom, like, you've basically guided me here, and now I got it, and I'm going to kind of keep going. So it's almost like she's taking the second half forward, and it's just crazy to watch that. I've just kind of watched the way we dance, and so she continues to just teach me to really surrender and to let go. And those moments that I get uptight or I get in fear or control, she's a reminder of, it's all good, let it go, you know, just and gosh, it's like, that's what I need to be hearing all the time. Yes, like, let go, chill out, Mom.
Yes. Yeah. That's so cool. And, you know, I have a 9-year-old son. We've talked about that.
Yes.
A 6-year-old daughter. So we're in the same boat in that age, the 9-year-old age. So I know you do the human design work. I know you do coaching. You obviously write the poetry, which, by the way, I've always been attracted to you because of your energy, because of the poetry. Because I know I got a poet waiting to come out. So just you'll be helping me with that at some point. But so when you do your coaching, do you have a specific type of client you work with? Is it kind of parenting specific? Is it more life coaching, or how do you describe it?
Yeah. And I love the question. And what I'm massaging more and more in my constant unfolding is I'm learning to detach around any structure.
Yeah.
Because as I come into more of a deeper alignment of my being, and I keep unfolding, that means my work keeps unfolding. And so the audience in which I meet, and the people that meet me, it's like, oh, of course you're coming to me for this, because I just literally handled that yesterday.
Right.
No coincidence, right?
Yes.
So if I had to put like a form to it or some kind of verbiage, I've been leaning more into the word guide lately as opposed to coach.
Oh,
That's
good.
a word that's becoming more resonant to my soul.
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like coach is probably overdone now. And then now there's a perspective of what is a coach? Everyone's a coach. And oh my goodness, it's like you can't ever meet
There's such a paradigm to it now.
It's always that way. So I'm like, okay, how do we change it up a little bit? Where do we disrupt the process? Like, how do we, get people intrigued? So the word guide, and I think so much because in human design, that is what I'm learning is, the people I find, David, that I work with are those that are attracted to the way I show up. So if they sense a resonance to my transparency, my authenticity, the way I show up, gray hairs or, makeup or just raw and real. And then it's almost as if that's a mirror of the way maybe they're feeling they want to start tapping into themselves. And so I haven't marketed. That's the thing is I'll share who I am and then I'll find people, or now they come here, they just come to me, but I haven't solicited anything professionally. I might run a little thing that says, hey, this is what I do. But what I'm finding more now, especially with human design, is because it's so telling, that is an absolute to work with me. Like if you don't want to go there, then I'm not probably your ideal person. Like it's not about the money and the business booming. It's like, I'm on a mission to support people in a way that I understand the depths of empowerment of my own trajectory. And that's what I want to bring to life in others, Yes.
And just to share, not just to share, share.
Yeah. I know the word just gets so much slack.
I know, like you were just a mom.
I'm just a mom.
No problem. That's easy.
No problem.
But yeah, you did a human design reading for me, and we were in the course together, the Shefali course, and I always kind of appreciated your energy and was like really interested in what work you were doing. And then I don't remember how I found the human design, but we started talking about something, and then it was really, really life changing. And I'm not just saying that; like it really was. I really like. And when we talked on the phone, you said to me, I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I can't even help myself because of the fact that I'm so excited. And I just remember feeling like, yes. And I remember telling you that. I was like, I'm a yes. Because you're like, it has to be a good fit or, it's not going to work for either of us. And I was like, yes. And I'm like, I don't even care what the price is. Like, talk about that till the end. So yeah, I wanted to make sure people knew that because it's really helped me. And what you've taught me is to think about actually not to think.
I was going to say, that's somebody else you're coaching.
You taught me.
I taught you go to your gut.
Exactly. So follow my sacral authority. And we've talked about that before. And then also just, even though we have a different, and we'll talk, I know we want to talk about human design, so we're going to get there.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely make that happen.
But even though we have a different human design, you can talk about this, but I have seen how you are so not, the strategy, the mind, the logic, and it's just been really wonderful to just kind of observe you and see this part of myself that has come alive because I have you around to be like, oh, what would Sandra do right now? I don't even think it. I just like, oh, that's how I would do it. That's what I would do.
Take it in. Yes. Thank you for that. Beautiful. Thank you.
But yeah. So let's talk about human design because I know it's your passion and made you wait 10 minutes.
I know.
Talked about
I'm
it. So you did great. No, but I know that's what you love to talk about. So help people understand what it is and anything else you want to share about it.
I know, right? And so this is my thing of like, again, how do I succinct this grand wisdom gift in some snippet? Oh my goodness. Okay. So really just high level it's a synthesis of 6 amazing, ancient wisdom and scientific mixtures. Okay. So you've got like chakra system, Chinese I Ching, the astrology, Eastern, Western, and the chakra. Did I say that? Oh, and the tree and the I Ching. So the I Ching, the tree of life, the astrology, and the chakra system. So those are your 4 ancient systems. And then over on the scientific side, you have neutrino streams, which is everything we feel atmospherically on a given day, planetarily, when we're like, I'm feeling really off today and this and this. Because right now there's energies moving and the planets are having their own party.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden we get this imprint and we like, wow, I feel high, low, up or down. And it depends on where that's coming into our current imprinting already.
Right.
So the neutrino streams are fascinating. And then human genetic codons have to do with your DNA, like truly like at a cellular level, what's already embedded in you in that respect. So when somebody brings their birth info, and exact time is pretty paramount. I would say, like, you know, try not to go too past like a half an hour, but that can also change some things. I populated into my fancy stuff. And I've been learning over the last year and a half, really knowing how to like decipher and bring a very clear guiding path to people on the way that their aura is here to navigate this soul trajectory, right? So soul imprinting and kind of your purpose, like, and it's not this notion in like my purpose is, it's like at a cellular level, like what your soul came in here to like make happen and to bring out, and how to move this about in a grand world that we live in with 4 different types of people. So we've been very homogenized, unfortunately. And I think we're learning pretty quickly right now in the times that we're in with this big global uprooting. That, wow, Mother Earth is trying to get us back to our 0 point into who we really are, and divest us of all this conditioning and things of that nature. So really what happens is when somebody, you know, when I'm working with them, I'm able to give them like an understanding of their specifics. This is your aura. This is your energy type, or maybe you're a non-energy type. This is kind of your personality, your profile. This is who you are, how you show up, how you interact, how you bring your purpose into fruition. These are the centers in you that are defined and consistent and pretty like absolute, like this is just who you are.
Right.
And then this is kind of the white spots, the open spots. This is where you're most influenced, more conditioned, more amplified. This is the not self. This is where we're all kind of living. And where we need to start understanding how that mind is speaking into those centers. And at the end of the day, it just gives you a greater sense of your vehicle, your body, and how to navigate this into this world and say, oh, I have this kind of energy, but this person may not. So I can learn to be more compassionate and connected in ways. And I can start attuning in a frequency that says, when I'm in this space with this person, I can sense this or I can't, or I work better over here, or there's a lot of different things at play. And it's what I love right now is how we can see our kids for the truth of who they are. I would have loved to have known this synchronistically with Shefali's work at the time. And it wasn't meant to, right? So I had to go through my own path so now that I have conscious parenting and human design, like to me, those are like, oh my gosh, now I can't not bring that into my work with people, you know, it's like double magnetic. But you can see the true essence, and it allows you to guide your kid most correctly for them.
So you do readings for the adults and also for the kids?
Yeah. So I just did a reading yesterday for a mom for their child. So I guided the mother, and I gave different insights to what's the best way to help this child align to the truth of who they are. Doesn't mean you can't integrate other things that you've learned. And, you know, bring the essence of mindfulness and consciousness, of course. And when you tell me this, and this about this kid, I can go pretty close in and say, oh, yes, I can identify very quickly why that's happening. And here's maybe how you want to work into that, or bring a language into it, and let them become comfortable in themselves as you move into their space more freely, right? And they get to be more relaxed. So, I mean, my child, she just even said to me today, can you pull up my chart? She wants to see. I'm like, do you see this little thing here? This is the stuff that doesn't stop. That's happening right over here. And I was showing her. And after we listened to something, she goes, I don't understand it. I said, that's okay. It's all good.
So then would it be helpful to share like your daughter and your daughter's design and your design, or is that like too complex?
I think it might be a little too progressive given
Okay.
the onset of the conversation. I
Yeah, yeah,
guess
yeah.
what I could say is
Yeah,
I can give one aspect just to
yeah,
bring
yeah. Okay.
some contrast to it, or some comparison contrast.
Yeah.
So my child has an open solar plexus. Okay.
Okay.
So meaning, what does that mean? So one thing to just understand, there's no right or wrong, good or bad, better or worse of
Right.
any kind when it
Right.
comes to
That's
human
important.
design.
Yeah.
Super important, because the
Yeah.
ego's up here listening and it's like,
Yes.
but if she doesn't have that, what does that mean? And so it really
Exactly.
wants to know,
Yep.
its part. So clear slate. You come at it like you know nothing, and you're just like, okay, I'm ready to discover. So the solar plexus is it's our emotions. It's our center of emotions, right? It's where our
Hmm.
passions and our desires and our needs and our sensitivities, and there's a lot of stuff that transmutes between our sacral and our emotions, right? In that respect, or how we speak our emotions, or how they align to our sense of self and our heart. And so it's got a lot of pathways. Well, she has open, meaning by the virtue of her nature, David, she's
Hmm.
not an emotional kid. She
Oh
truly
yeah.
isn't. She didn't come into this world emotional
Yeah.
by nature, by her aura.
Yeah.
However, when it's open, it's really the default can be in the conditioning is you look more emotional because you're taking an influx of everybody else's
Oh,
emotions.
because it's open.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you're not made aware, or if a parent doesn't know that, hence this is the parent here who
Yeah.
didn't know that and
Yeah.
has always said, oh my God, she's, losing her mind and all these things. And that's another conversation because there's still other things that contributed to that.
Yeah.
However, had I known that from the onset, it would have
Mm.
helped me to understand, wait a minute, why she's getting more erratic at times is truly because she can't hold the container. Her body is not designed to take the influx of emotions. It
Mhm.
becomes double amplified.
Right. Okay.
So I'm an emotional being. I'm
Yeah.
defined. So just
Hmm.
being in her presence, she just senses my emotions all the time.
Mm.
And she, even when you said, what has she taught you? It's like she becomes the calm when I'm somewhat.
Oh, okay.
She's like, Mom, pause, right? Like, I'm telling you right now, I can't do this, or this is too much for me. And
Right.
my insights go ding, 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 open solar plexus. Of course, she's telling you right now, don't go there, right?
Oh.
So that alone is just given me so much insight. So then there's all these different things to understand: when it's open, when it's closed, what's the wisdom that you're here to learn,
Hmm.
what's the conditioning. So typically when someone's open, they might avoid truth and conflict. They
Mm.
might be a people pleaser because,
Okay.
oh, it's too much, I don't want to deal with it. So we're like, oh no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm
Right.
good.
Right. Okay.
And somebody who's defined, I'm in my waves all the time. So to me, there's nothing different about a high and a low on a given day. That's just my nature. You can't tell me not to be emotional.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
very
Right.
natural to my wiring.
Yeah.
So that gives you one indication.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's
it's
really,
super, super
yeah.
helpful.
It's so, I think that what's interesting about human design is it is actually very complex. How, I asked you this when you did my reading, how do you differentiate astrology and human design? Because I know that there's crossovers and differences and
So astrology, from how I know astrology, because I'm not an astrologer,
yeah. Yeah.
is it's its own thing. Like it's its own
Hmm.
system.
Yeah.
Human design is a synthesis of those 6 things, and it
Right.
includes astrology.
Includes it. Yeah.
Yes, if you can't take any of those things out and call it human design. So
Right.
human design, pardon me, is the integration. So one of the teachers, his name is Shaitan Parkin, he talks about it as like a cake mix. It's all those ingredients. And if you were to take
Mm.
any of that out, you kind of have a different kind of cake, right?
Yeah.
So human design is all those parts together, and they all play very important parts to the whole of understanding your imprinting. So when somebody's birth information is given and I put it into my program,
Hmm.
I can not only tell them kind of their personality imprinting, which is really what astrology, as I understand it, focuses on. It's the
Hmm.
exact time of birth,
Right. Right.
right?
Hmm.
Human design actually takes a pullback of 3 months prior to the physical birth.
Oh,
So it
right,
becomes
right.
an integration of the soul imprinting
Mm,
and the physical.
hmm.
And it's together that you get the whole of your aura and your, you know, your vehicle, kind of your
Right.
physical and your soul. So that soul integration is phenomenal because it carries ancestral imprinting.
Mhm.
And when you get really into human design, which is a rabbit hole, and it's
Yeah.
like layers upon learning, you can
Yes.
start seeing ancestral patterns, karmic patterns, and you
Oh,
can start
wow.
to see planets that play a role and what part of it did it come into your mom or your dad.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your knowledge of human design and everything you know about your daughter and yourself, and I know you mentioned you've obviously done your husband's reading, like you've told me all these different things.
I do.
You
Everybody
know,
that's wanting it, I will stop people at Starbucks. Do you want your
and
reading? I hear a conversation. Are you struggling? No, I'm
I
joking.
will say when I've been in like Zoom calls with you that I see you start to go to your computer and I'm like, oh, she's looking something up, and then she'll be like, David, this is your this and that, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, and
Yeah.
and yes, and if you do a reading with Sandra, it's she's not gonna give up. Like you're gonna be friends with her for life.
Because then I'll be like, wait a minute. Because I had somebody that, you know, when they say something and they'll say, and I go, hold on, and I'll pull up the transit. And I might just voice mess them. I'm like, yeah, I just pulled your chart today. And then this is happening. Like, you might notice a little bit of this. Just FYI, like, it's totally normal. I can't help it. It's,
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. But so how
yeah.
does it all play in with now that you have this knowledge and we have this global shift occurring, like
Mm.
the new earth has arrived, like this is it. We've been feeling it, it's now here. How does that, we haven't talked about this part. How does that play in with human design? Like how are you,
Oh my gosh, it's been foretold already in human design, the global cycles. It's
okay,
already
tell me more.
been forecasted. So I've been learning about this as well as everything. I'm a hodgepodge of learning on top of it. So see,
Yeah,
nothing is ever linear for me. It's like bring it all in and I'll
yeah.
sift through it and I'm like, oh, look at what I found today. Then I talk to
Okay.
David, I go, oh, look at what I've learned. I don't even know
Nice.
yet. Yeah. Okay. So again, I'll try to be very concise and precise.
Yes.
So we've been, okay, according to human design, this isn't Sandra, I'm just kind of bringing a very
Yeah.
like summary to this. So human design has what we know as global cycles. And
Okay.
okay, so we, humanity, the collective, has been in an era for the last 410 years. And it's been the era of the planning. We've been in the cross of the planning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when somebody brings me their info and I can look at their incarnation cross, that's their
Yeah.
purpose. You can see,
Okay.
well, what is their incarnation cross? So there's several people right now, they're a right angle cross of
Mm-hmm.
planning. And this is where we've been in the collective, and it represents the tribal, the bargaining, the
Mm-hmm.
exchange, the
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
everything we see going on right now in the world, right?
Yeah.
And we've also been in the era of the manifester, which is really not a surprise when you recognize the conditioning and the homogenation of go do it, make it happen.
Yes.
Everyone go manifest.
Yeah.
I beg to differ. So this is where I kind of get in and I go, sure, it's not that you can't. You have to
Mm-hmm.
understand how you're designed to
Mm-hmm.
manifest, right?
Okay.
We all have capacity and potential. So again, we've been under these constructs, which is what Shefali's talked about at some time, which is like the hierarchies, the
Yeah.
institutions, and things
Yeah.
of like that, right? So every wisdom teaching will kind of bring in their own flavor.
Right. Right.
But human design is going to kind of bring it into these categories that I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been prophesied, projected, anticipated, foretold that we're actually heading towards a brand new era called 2027. It's a marker. It's the next entry point of the next 417 years that we're going to be entering into.
That feels absolutely right. Yep.
Okay. Isn't it fascinating?
Yeah.
And wait till you hear the incarnation cross,
Okay, great.
the cross
Ready.
of the sleeping phoenix. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Like timely, not coincidental. Look at what's
Yeah,
burning down right now.
exactly.
So
Wow.
417 years. So 2027, it's not, what I understand is it's not like we wake up, it's January 1st, 2027, and we look at the
Right.
world and we're like, right.
Yeah.
But it's really not a surprise that where we are right now at 2020, we're 7 years away. And really people that understand cycles and cellular turnover, that's a 7-year pattern.
Right.
We're shedding cells right now. We're almost getting geared up
Yeah.
to re-enter into this new era called the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix.
Yeah.
And to kind of condense that down even more, what does that mean? That what is prophesied, what is anticipated is that we're actually on the emergence of a new human species, a new future being, a new way of how the Homo sapien, in human design, it's Homo sapien in transitus. That's what we are right now, because we're 9-centered beings. But we don't know that. If you don't know human design, we think we're just Homo sapiens, 7-centered beings. But we've actually become Homo sapiens in transitus since 1781, when Uranus became a planet, if I'm saying that correctly. And we're moving into now this new futuristic being, and human design calls it the rave. And what's happening is you and I and our kids and their kids may not see that, or we may see small specks of it over time. But it's really about the mutation of the solar plexus. And this is the awareness center right now that's becoming highly mutative. And this is where we're going to see the emergence of the new being form. So what has been spoken is that a lot of what we've been watching with kids with autism, ADD, again, just labels, conversation, but the differences we've seen, this is going to become more apparent, because with the mutation, we're going to actually start seeing more of this. And the way that those kids are going to need to communicate is going to be completely different than the way we have ever been here to understand. So it's a deep, deep part of the process, one that I'm still getting my arms around.
Yeah.
And truthfully, David, which everything I say is truthfully, I can't stand when I say that. And look, it's 444. Woohoo! I'm like, truthfully, 444. What is it I need to say? I don't find it coincidental that the very thing of my own mothering journey was all about embodying my daughter's, what I felt were differences or unique.
Oh, yeah.
So how interesting. It's like I have a taste of it. And now that I know things so differently, do I think that those things were always there? Perhaps. She still has biomedical struggles, but I can so appreciate her wiring and her aura. And now when she gets in any kind of moment, I always like, no, you're universal love. You're this, you're that, and I try to really re-empower her with all of what I do see in her, So I'm not surprised that we're where we are. I'm excited for it. And I know we've talked. I feel like it's been lifetimes of preparation.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to hear the human design kind of that explanation of it all, because I feel like there's all these different angles that people are coming on. Like I was just sharing with the group this book called Reinventing Organizations, and they talk about teal leadership, and then there's just different people are talking about it in different ways, but it sounds like it's all similar. But okay, so tell me, so the 7 years thing, what does that mean? Because the mind's going to try and predict the future. Like, oh wait, so what do I do for the next 7 years?
Right. No, there's nothing to do. It's in process. We're going to be mutating, and things are sifting and shifting and burning and crumbling, as everyone is saying. Everyone's saying it in their own way. And my poetry says it in one way, and another teaching will say it another. And Eckhart's probably already talked about this 20 years ago. That's why he wrote The New Earth. Like
exactly. He's like, come on, guys. I already told you this.
He's looking like the guy you want to go hang out with now. Before you're like, I'm not so sure. No, I dug him anyway. But there's nothing. It's really so. What I didn't really close up on that is that the Sleeping Phoenix is all about individuation and empowerment. It's about coming back to the sense of our inner self, our inner empowerment. Human design, kind of has the mindset of like, or not the mindset, but just like the approach of the old is going to be old. Like once it's gone, it's gone. Okay. And Gene Keys, which is another thing I'm endeavoring that I love. And that it's part of human design, but it's its own beautiful wisdom gift from Richard Rudd. And I'm taking some stuff on that now. And oh my God, it's so, oh my gosh, just so yummy. So his perspective is, that it's inclusive. Like you're going to still take things from the old, but now there's this brand new emergence, right? So while human design has the metaphor of like the phoenix, Gene Keys has the dragonfly. And I love the dragonfly because what I've learned is underwater, it can almost be like a fish, But
Mm.
then once it's ready to emerge, it pops out
Mm.
and it flies, and it's almost like a bird. So it goes
Yeah.
from fish to
Oh,
bird.
that's so cool.
I love this.
So
When
the
I heard
dragonfly
this,
is actually was the inspiration for my logo for davidkrichards.com. It didn't quite
wow.
turn into a dragonfly because we were trying to play with it, but I kept having these really intuitive feelings about a dragonfly, and I didn't know how it was going to play out. But it's actually like a backwards K with like the wings, kind of like the wings of a
I
dragonfly.
love it. Look at
But
that. You're
yeah,
omniscient. You've already seen this. Let me
apparently,
go check your chart. I think it's in there somewhere. Gate 17.
yeah. So
So
that's really cool. Okay,
it's cool because the way Richard described it, which I love, is that it's like and he's poetic, and
yeah,
he's the cross of consciousness.
okay,
So he's very much like, this is his path, right? To bring awareness
mm,
into the depths of this consciousness. So he
yeah,
brings a whole different dimension with Gene Keys. But one of the things I love that he says is like, it's that there's this veil, right? He always uses the word veil. And he's like, so when the soul goes through the veil and meets the physical form, it forgets everything. It forgets the
mm,
lifetimes it's lived. It
right,
forgets everything. And then the minute it crosses back over the veil and becomes like the spirit and the soul into the next transition, it's
yeah,
like, duh, of course, like, wow, that was a
mm,
ride, right?
right,
And I love that just knowing that that's like, yes, that's exactly it. So there's a forgetting and a remembering, and that's what human design and Gene Keys does. It kind of gets us back to remembering the innate ways of our being.
yeah,
And that dragonfly is a beautiful metaphor because it's like the dragonfly doesn't remember it was underwater, and when
mm,
it's underwater it doesn't know that it's going to go fly.
right, right.
So they're like their own things, but they need to still break the veil to kind of emerge into their full essence. And I just think it's so lovely and yummy
Yeah,
in that picture. Yeah.
that is so cool. I'm just kind of like doing the visual and thinking about the dragonfly right
Right. I know tomorrow you're going to be like,
now.
your new image on your screenshot is going to be dragonfly.
Basically.
Yeah, no. So I don't know if this answers much of it. I just feel like it's all on purpose and it's all on
Yeah,
time and it's very divine, and I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised.
yeah,
And I'm kind
yeah.
of open. I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm still human. And I'm like, oh crap, there's no soup in the store. I need soup.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
want my soup. Darn it, like
Well, maybe we'll close out for the next few minutes just on that note,
yeah.
just helping people think about how can they navigate this terrain, and like what are the practices you're using and what are you leaning on in terms of your work and your
Mm.
spiritual work and your inner work to help people navigate this terrain of kind of
Wow.
things being turned upside down.
Thank you for that. And I have to say, I personally feel very blessed that somehow human design found me at the time it did almost 2
Yeah.
years ago, because it's really prepared and grounded me more solidly
Mm,
in the wisdom of my being. And
yeah.
I- I've had like this like surge of confidence,
Mm, mm,
like wisdom confidence, not
yeah.
ego confidence, because I'm still battle with the not self, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, am I doing
Absolutely.
enough, is that good,
Right.
and I
Right.
go through that in my own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And then I go, oh, I see where that is in your chart, Sandra, let it go. I do the little chit chat. Oh, that's your open heart, you're just being like, you need to prove
That's
yourself.
amazing.
Okay. you know I'll, it's like a quick coaching,
Right.
guiding of
Coaching
my own
yourself.
self. Yeah. So I feel like I can say all this because there's a sense of peace.
Hmm.
There's a sense of trust and surrender that I have often sought my whole life. And
Yes.
that comes with a lot of the emergence I have. I'm a 3-5 in the human design, which wouldn't mean anything to anyone listening. And saying this too doesn't really have any relevance. But why I'm saying this is because I also have 8 6 lines in the aura of my being. And those 6 lines have to emerge. And I'm
Mm,
at the precipice now at 50. So in 2 years,
mm.
I will have met the peak of all of that experience.
Oh,
And
wow.
and
Okay.
so trust and surrender is a big part that comes with the patience of the
Yes.
6th line.
Yes.
That's where I'm at. So that's the frequency I'm bringing to the physical plane right now as I
Yep.
work with people. As I
Yeah.
want to be a mirror and a resonance of, listen, I get it. There's
Hmm.
nothing wrong. You can feel where you need to feel and be where you are. And this is the very thing maybe catapulting you, like motherhood catapulted me.
Yeah.
And however I can be a conduit, a portal, a vessel, an usher, a guide, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
me, just a mirror of support. I want to keep giving you permission to feel, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That everyone's going to meet the entry point of this new unfolding
Yeah.
from their own set of lens and
Yeah.
experience. And to keep saying, look at more like it's okay, and give them compassion to say it's okay to feel this way, because probably the way you're designed, you're just experiencing it in your truth,
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
So
that's
like,
what I would say.
so you're going to the store and people have masks on, and are
Oh yeah.
people scared, and like, how are you, like, are you taking that energy in? Are you talking to people, like, just,
Oh my God, I
how are you,
love talking. I talk to everybody.
so
I don't
do you
shut
like
up.
hold them 6 feet away when you're talking to them?
So I just went to the store now before we chatted,
Yeah.
and yeah, everyone's got a mask, and I just ordered a set. My sister's friend so-and-so makes some, and I just placed an order to support
Okay.
them. And I'm like, fine, we'll get our masks and it'll be fun. Okay. But I have my sprays and I have my wipes. I'm doing all the right
Yeah.
things. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
there's a level of like ignorance and insight, like,
Yeah.
or, it's kind of like, do you want to be in fear? Or do you want to be kind of in flow?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you got to ride your own tide in that.
Right. Right.
So one of the things, just to kind of close on that, is
Yeah.
I'm observing.
Yeah.
I'm in awe
Yeah.
and wonder. I'm in curiosity. That is just my nature. I absorb. I take it in,
Yeah.
and I go, wow, I could write a poem on this. Wow.
Mhm.
I want to do a video on, like, it's almost like a tapestry and a canvas for my creativity. When I watch
Yes.
what's going on,
Yes.
I feed into it, and I'm like,
Yes.
now, isn't it interesting, right? This is the insight. Isn't it interesting how normal this has become? And if
Right.
I had a mask
So
on a
quickly.
month ago, I would have looked like the crazy one,
Exactly.
which I'm often looking like the crazy one anyhow. So now I'm so normal.
Yeah. Well, and you know what else I know about you is I know that you're also deeply feeling the pain and the suffering and what people are going through in
Oh
your
my gosh, of
time and all
course.
that. Like, I
Oh
know you're
yes.
deeply feeling that, because we just haven't talked about that. So I want to make sure
Oh no,
you're
I
not
don't
sitting
want
here and
this
being
to
like,
look like I'm
everything's
having a
cool.
party.
I know.
No, but I
I know
don't,
you're
but
not
what I
saying that.
don't do is I don't live in I consciously choose not to live in the worry, because that's a
Yes.
very easy place for me to
Yes.
go, David. And
Yes.
if I can uplift people and help
Mhm.
them change the perspective and reframe, it's not that, I choose, I don't look at feeds. It's my husband that'll say, oh my gosh, this is update. And sometimes I have to
Yes.
say, that's too much today. I don't want to
Yes.
hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've cleaned my aura. Like, I can't take that in,
Yeah.
but I'm not ignorant to think it's not happening,
Right. Right. Well, and I know that
So,
you've done a couple, like you did the song on Sunday that really touched me.
oh, thank you.
So I know you're feeling into it, but I guess I'm just wondering how, I think you answered, like, you're just being careful. I know what the question was gonna be. There's like this nuanced line between feeling people's pain and like resonating with that pain in the world right now, but also not having that worry then come into your space, so that then you go into fear and depression and sadness, and then you can't really serve in the way that you're trying to serve right now. Do you know what I'm asking?
I hear that loud and clear. And I think I have so much awareness of human design that I can see how that plays out so differently for all of us.
Oh, got
See,
it.
you're open in your solar plexus. You're feeling
Yeah.
a whole different wave of it.
Yeah.
I'm defined. So I'm not picking it up
I
as
see.
strongly
That makes
yet.
sense.
You and
Yeah.
I share a lot when we talked about like our quad right. And
Yeah.
so we're
Yeah.
very absorbing just all the energy. So it's almost like you
Mhm.
might get a double ping.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit more, like, it's not, so it doesn't rock me as much, because it's what I notice all the time in me all the time. Like,
Yep.
emotions are always there anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to like coast the waves and
I
hold
got
the
you.
space and be the
Okay.
lifeboat and do all those things with grounding,
Yeah.
clarity, and
Yeah.
trust.
That
So
makes
for
perfect sense.
me, no, it doesn't, it certainly doesn't take away or lessen my
Yeah.
soul empath, my heart.
Yeah.
But this is how I work with anybody. When somebody comes to me with their story and their drama and
Yeah.
their pain,
Yeah.
I've thought, how have I navigated my own through this?
Yes.
And that's what I want to keep doing, is I want to be the light for people.
Yes.
Still hold space, be
Yes.
empathic,
Mm-hmm.
be so open in my heart and soul, and remind them of the possibility, and remind them of their choice, and remind them
Yes.
of their inner empowerment. And
Yes.
that to me is what I've often had to seek for myself. And so when I keep finding that, I can't not bring that part out.
And I remember that from our reading. I remember the few different moments that I voice messaged you where I'm like, I remember the moment when you were like, David, I am 50 years old and I just need to share this with you. I am not doing X, Y, and Z anymore. And I know in my design, and here's your design, and like,
I'm done
just
with that
own
story.
it.
Been
Just
there,
own
done
it.
that.
Yeah. So I felt
Totally.
very empowered at the end of our reading for that reason, because you're like, here's what I've experienced. Here's where our design is similar. Here's where it's different. But I'm just letting you know, this is what I've been through, and not in a kind of in a way that's like, lady, I don't want to hear about you all the time, but just kind of bringing in the places where you're like, this is going to really help you right now. I'm going to share something that I've experienced, and it's beautiful. So
It's the truth seeker, and I have it all in me anyhow with my design. But it's
yeah.
kind of because I become my own butt kicker and my own. When I get in that story, I'm like, okay, gloom and like move, like like I give just enough for the pity party, and then it's like time to go,
Yes. Yes.
right? No, my heart is out there. I check in with many people. I've got parents that are elderly. I've got a sister
Yeah.
with teens, like,
Yeah.
neighbors, like we're quarantining, we're doing all the right responsible things. I talk in the stores, I make light of it, I smile at people.
Yeah.
I want to bring a different freshness to the
Yes.
experience. I don't want to be the same mirror of everybody's fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not my nature. And yet it's easy for all of us to go there, I think, at the end of the day, because when the soup's not there, then I start getting angry.
Absolutely. You want your soup.
I want my soup, darn it.
The soup.
I don't ask for much. I mean, diamonds and pearls are gone.
Isn't it warm in Arizona? Soup. Why do you want soup?
I eat soup all the time. Yeah. No, but listen, we're all in it together. I don't feel this is even scratching the surface, honestly, of what we're coming to see. No, I really don't. And not to like end in that respect. I think like we have to hold a lens of practicality too. Let's not be blind just because we're spiritual, and let's not be so much in fear that we can't see possibility. I think there's a balance.
Yes, actually, that is a great way to end.
Yeah,
right there.
look at that.
I think that's a good place for people to think about as we finish this up. So thank you so much, Sandra. It was beautiful as always talking to you. Have a great day, and we will talk soon. Thanks so much.
Bye, you guys.
Okay. Bye.